for data analysts and business intelligence experts. It is a community with professionals dedicated to advancing data analysis and business intelligence. As we gather today, I'm reminded of the words of Peter Drucker. He said, "The most valuable asset is not the information, but the ability to analyze it." So our training program is designed to equip you with the skills and knowledge necessary to excel in our roles as data analysts and business intelligence experts. So on this note, I welcome each and every one of us, our facilitators, in the person of Mr. Chikolio and Benshima Alfred Shadi. Your participation and engagement are crucial to making this training a success. So I welcome each and every one of us. Hope I'm audible enough. Hope you guys are hearing me.
Yes, you can hear me.
Hello.
Clear.
We can hear you now.
Hear you.
Thank you.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you. So moving forward, this is about 11:20, if I'm correct, and we have not much time. So maybe I'll start introducing our facilitators while we wait for other members to join us. So I'll be starting with introducing our first facilitator for today, in the person of Chikoliu Abdusamad. Sorry. I want to share my screen. Sorry, hold on.
Katrina, your mic is off if you are speaking.
Sorry, I'm asking, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
All right. All right, sorry for the delay. So, just a brief biography of our first facilitator for today's in-house training, Mr. Chikoliu. Mr. Chikoliu Abdusamad is a mechanical engineering graduate from Abu Zaria. He has dual citizenship from Kogi, Nigeria, and Korea, with a proven track record spanning over 9 years and diverse industries such as telecommunications, healthcare, and education. He brings a wealth of experience and expertise to the role of data analysis instructor. His journey has been marked by driving success through data analysis and innovative problem solving. As a seasoned professional, he has mastered various aspects of data analysis, from optimizing financial performance and spearheading model development to launching impactful products and programs. Notably, his role as a business intelligence analyst at Phase 3 Telecom Limited has honed his skills in developing business models, generating revenue through market research, and implementing automated solutions to address complex business challenges. Moreover, his passion for continuous learning and skill development has led him to delve into back-end web development, further enhancing his technical capabilities. From mastering Python and SQL for crafting robots, data-driven web applications, to leveraging BI tools to Microsoft Power BI for real-time insights and decision-making. He is well equipped to impart practical, real-world knowledge to aspiring data analysts. As an instructor, he is dedicated to bridging the gap between theoretical concepts and practical applications, empowering students with essential skills in data analysis, visualization, and interpretation. His goal is to inspire the next generation of data analysts, equipping them with the tools and knowledge to thrive in today's data-driven world. So, on this note, I'm welcoming you, Mr. Chico Liu. So you have the floor is yours now.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Mm,
And sorry, please. On behalf of the programs director of NSDABIE, he's having a sort of a technical glitch on his side for now, but he will join us later. So I want you guys to welcome his presence also. And I have with us here an NSDABIE president in the person of Abdullahi Balabre, and we also have some valuable members of the NSDABIE here. So we welcome you guys. I am Katrina Nekama, your co-host for today's in-house training. And I'm the Director of Media and Publicity of NSDABIE. Thank you. Chico, the floor is yours now. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, morning. Good morning, Mr. Leo.
It's a pleasure to actually be here. We have actually been preparing for a while with this, and although while my introduction was going on, I was just laughing because I was even shocked that you know the organization was overhyping me. So anyways, it's actually nice to meet every one of you. I'll be sharing my screen now, and before we go into the topic proper, I do have a bit of introduction, a theory aspect of what Python is and why Python for as a programming language. Currently now, data in the world of data analytics, it has gone beyond just refining data and cleaning data. It has extended to statistics using programming, which is what they call data science, and data engineering, which is how people actually get data for data analysts to use for analysis. The reason why this is now important in today's in today's data analytics field is because of what they call big data. And so basically, everybody is now having websites, and we have giant industries like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and so we now have Elon Musk's Starlink that are used to collecting huge chunks of data. And at the end of the day, the kind of data they collect now are mostly very dirty data, as we know what dirty data is. They are very unorganized, and it would take you extra effort to be able to understand the kind of data you want to collect, where to get those data from. And because you are having, like I said, chunk of data, what they call big data. Big data is something else by the time you start doing its analysis. And so there is actually need for a tool that you can use to solve those kind of problems. And fortunately enough, Python seems to be reigning in that particular field of data analytics, specifically for big data. So even if you are dealing with data engineering, where you actually build, like I mentioned earlier, pipelines to tunnel your data and give the end user, which is a data analyst, the data to use, you are going to use Python in some way or the other. In fact, you would use Python a lot. So if you are even venturing into data science, where you will be building models, predictive models that you can use, you build once and you apply it. After that, then you're actually going to use, you would definitely come across Python, R programming, and there's a new programming language in town, Julia. And but Python seems to be really in this way. And even as a data analyst, if you want to stay in data analysis, there will be a time where you actually use Python programming to ease your work. Now, so which is why Python is really important. So basically, Python is what they call a high-level programming language. Why is it high level? It is because it is almost as if you are actually speaking English. It's the reason why it is called high level. It's almost as if you are speaking English. According to a lot of people, it is easy to learn, very simple. And once you understand how it is being written, which is what they call the syntax or the rules and regulation of Python programming, it becomes very easy. One of the reasons why it is versatile is because it has a very huge ecosystem. It has different libraries that you can actually use for analysis, for automation, data science, and even data engineering. Again, like I said, it's widely used in data science and lots more. So an example that I would like to give is Python being like Excel, but on steroids. You know what steroids does to athletes. It will make them overperform in such a way that beyond human ability. So it will give athletes superhuman ability. So Python basically is Excel, but the superhuman version of it. So if we're actually going to use Python as a programming language, it is very important we know the kind of tools inside Python we actually use for Python application. So one of it is the pandas library. And so basically what the pandas library does is to get your data and present it for you in an Excel-like table. We have NumPy, which is used for, it's NumPy basically is what they call, is an acronym for numeric Python. And so basically it does, it handles like numeric applications easily, especially in an array. So we do have matplotlib and Seaborn, which is used for data visualization, scikit-learn for a lot of machine learning, modeling like regression analysis. You have logistics regression. You have convolutional neural network and so on. And we do have tools like SQL Alchemy, especially if you want to do data integration with a database. And so a good example that I would give is the import pandas, and you give it an alias as PD. So basically, by the time you install these pandas, you import it anytime you want to use it. And by the time you actually use it, what the expected result is going to get is something like an Excel table. And so these are like the key tools basically for Python programming in data analysis. Or even if you want to do machine learning, that's data science. And so basically Python does what Microsoft Excel and SQL does. It's just that this time around, you use a different kind of syntax that we are not familiar with. So you can do your cleaning, you can do what they call EDA, that's exploratory data analysis. You can also do visualization, and you can do automation, and it's very good in automation. And so what automation does for somebody like me is, because I'm very lazy and I don't want to repeat my task, I don't get to do it again. I'll just do it once. Once I've understand what are the critical key performing index I'm actually looking for. What am I going to use? What is the rule for me to actually use here? Once I understand the rule, I can put it into different commands, and all I just need to do is just to run it once, and it will continue doing the same thing for me over and over again. I remember a time where I automated a particular report that I think I didn't touch it for over a year. It was just generating a report for me, and I was just summarizing it using Microsoft Excel's pivot table, and I'll just get my summary report for weekly report to our management. So automation is a very, very critical tool to actually use, especially if you are going to be doing a lot of reporting, frequent reporting. And so what are your tools that you require? You require a Python interpreter. You can actually get it in Python has an official website where you can actually get the interpreter. You also require a code editor. So we have a lot of code editor. We have Jupyter Notebook, we have VS Code, we have PyCharm. We have you can actually use your Notepad for even Python programming. You can also use your command prompt for it as well. And we also have a famous interpreter, or like a package manager called Anaconda. And Anaconda is like you have a car and you have everything inside the car. So you have your steering, you have your chair, you have your gear, you have your acceleration, you have your dashboard, and so on. And so what it does is actually to give you a real world experience of any programming language you're actually trying, specifically for Python. So if you are doing any Python command, it gives you like a real world version of it, and it comes in a sort of web interface. And a lot of times, right, if you are doing analytics, Anaconda is mostly the go-to. But for me, either one works. I have my use case for combining the Python interpreter with a code editor, and I have my use case for using Anaconda. So Anaconda is more or less like this Python interpreter, everything inside it, and lots more. I will, by the end of this particular session, I will actually be providing this presentation for us to actually use. I see somebody is raising their hand. Do you want to ask any questions? Mohammed El Amin, do you want to ask any question? Your hand is raised.
Yes, sir.
Okay, please ask.
Please, about the packages, is it under RO, is still under Python?
The packages are under Python. We are discussing Python here.
That's my question.
Oh, okay. And so my basically final thoughts, Python is actually very essential tool, especially like I said, if you want to actually deal with big data, and it's very essential. It's not really necessary, especially if you are just starting. My own advice for people who want to go into Python or any other tool, whether SQL, make sure you have a use case for it. Make sure you do have a reason why you actually want to use it. However, if you are very much interested in going further in data analytics, you would definitely come across Python one of these days. And so with that, I will be moving into the practical aspect. And so, like I said, this is an introduction to Python. And so we are actually going to do the introduction to Python. I do not know if we'll be able to finish cover the whole of Python today, but I'm hoping that we are going to get somewhere. And so, basically, when you've installed, you've gotten your either we want to use an Anaconda or your package, your Python interpreter, which you can actually get here. I've provided the link. You have different versions of Python. I think the latest is 3.13.2. That's interesting. But usually, we like to go for my own advice for anybody who is interested in installing the Python interpreter they shouldn't always go for the latest, go for something below. So if you see something like 3.13, go for something like either 3.11 or 3.12. The reason is because they keep releasing new updates. A lot of times, some of these updates has different kind of what they call bugs, and so it might not work the way you want. So always go for something that is a bit older, because if it's older, it means that it works fine. It means that they've perfected that particular Python interpreter. So always go for something old. Just look for what is the latest, then go for something a little bit below. That's my own advice. For Anaconda, you can actually get it here. I have also provided the link which I will be sharing in I'll be sharing the presentation later. So in order for me to actually check if I've installed Python, again, I would not have to do that, but it's a very easy tool to actually install. In order for me to actually check, I will just go to my command prompt by going to, basically, I'll just go to my Windows, and I would just type CMD, which is command prompt. And so once this particular tool is up, what I can then do is to type a particular instruction called Python, then then version. So it's telling me that I have Python 3.12.7, which is somewhat I think it was updated in 2024, so I would say it's a little bit recent. And so this is just to tell me that I already have Python installed, and maybe just to go further, I can actually just type Python on my my Windows menu, and I'm going to see something like this. So I have the IDLE, the Python module, and its manual. So I think if I click on any of these, you can actually see something like this, and you can then start giving it commands. So for instance, you can actually use this to do your Python programming. One of the reasons why we need code editors is because of maybe you have lists of instructions to actually give it. This is not really a very, very nice interface to actually give your list of instructions. So it's one of the reasons why we need a code editor. But you can actually use this to do your instructions. And Python works in the most simplest term, in the sense that you can use it as a calculator. So for instance, I can say, what is 2 plus 3 to give me 5? What is 6 minus 5? It's going to give me 1, and so on and so forth. So one of the rules of Python is you can actually use it to write your simple math, or you can actually build what they call functions and classes to actually do repeated tasks. They call it object-oriented programming for a reason. Is that by the time you write a particular instruction, you can borrow the instruction elsewhere and use it for whatever it is you want to use it for. Somebody said they cannot see their screen is blank. Can you guys see my screen?
I can see your screen.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we can see your screen.
It's still showing the Visual Studio Code.
Yes. Mohammed Alamin, you want to ask a question?
Yes, sir. My question is, like now, I want to do two projects.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, I am
Yes.
listening.
So is it possible, which package I will have to use to make my program, my Python project?
Sorry, I don't follow.
I said that, like, I have a project. Yeah. For visualization, there is particular packages that used to visualize it. So which package?
Okay, which packages would you use? So you use the most popular packages or libraries, as they call it, or modules, if you want. In Python for visualization is matplotlib and Seaborn. They are very they are very, very notorious for for visualization. Anything that has to do with visualization, they are very notorious for it, and so you can actually use it for that. So this is my Visual Studio code, and so basically it just works something like this. You have your ribbon, which is the file edit selection. So you guys can just, out of curiosity, go through this. Basically, what this Visual Studio Code needs is a place where you are going to write your programs, your Python programs. And so the first thing usually we do is to go to your file, go to open. You have to give it a directory where it would go and write it program. So if you noticed, I created something, a folder, and I am actually going to select that particular folder, and which is where you can see the name here. I don't know if this is correct. Basically, this is like your directory, which is what we have here, or your Explorer. And so you can actually create new files here. by going to new files, or you go to file and you can actually create a new file here, or you can come to this place here, you see new file, while this is what a new folder. And so or you can even right click on the Explorer and click on new file. Anyone is fine. Or if you so want, you can use your command prompt here. And that's one of the good things with Visual Studio Code. You can also activate your command prompt by clicking on, let's see, terminal. Then you just click on new terminal and it's going to come up. The shortcut for it is Control tilde. You see that your key that looks like, that is close to escape button, that is looking like it's a bit curly. It's close to your escape and I think your tab. You can actually use that as a shortcut, Control tilde, and you are going to activate your terminal. And if you notice in my terminal, this is basically telling me that it is inside this folder. What this is telling me is that my user see the folder or directory username, Leo, this, then desktop, then coding, then Python, then this particular folder. Let me show you in real time what that is. If I go to my file explorer, I'm using Windows 11, I think. So if I go to my desktop, let's see. Yep. So basically this is where I am, and in my file explorer, it's telling me the same thing that the command prompt is actually telling me in my VS Code, that I am in my, so if you look at this, now if I decide to click on this and copy, you can see the address up there. So it's saying I'm in C user, this folder, desktop, learning code, Python tutorials, and this folder. So basically it's telling me the same thing that my command prompt in my Visual Studio Code is telling me. You get, so this is just to tell you that you are in this particular folder. And if I want to go back to the Python tutorials folder, I can just say cd ... and it goes back. And again, that's another tutorial for another day. Okay. So this is just telling me that I am actually in this folder, and I can then create a file. And anytime you actually want to create a file, usually you do it with a the file extension, like your text file is .txt, your CSV file is .csv, your Excel file is like is .xlsx, your Python file extension is .py at the end of this. So you can just create a file, and let's just say intro. You give it a file name, then you say .py, and you can see immediately when if you notice immediately when I say .py, you can see this particular icon. Any of you guys recognize this icon here? So this is the Python icon, which we have in our introduction to Python. This same icon is just that both of them are blue here, but if you look at it, the icon is the same thing, but just with different colors. It just shows you the kind of file you're actually working with. So if I come and say intro.csv, you can see it's showing me CSV, and it's showing me an icon there. And it's one of the reasons I think I like the Visual Studio Code. It's a very, very interesting tool or a code editor to actually use. And so in order for me to run this particular program, right, I can come to my command prompt, and because I am already in this particular folder where my intro my intro.py is, what I can then do is to run a command called Python, and I would say intro.py. That's the name of my folder and my file. I'll just say Python, I'll just say intro.py. And you can see it's not giving me any error. And that's because it has acknowledged that the intro.py is there. It's just that I've not given it any instruction. But if I say Python and I say file.py, it's going to return an error. And the error is telling me that no such file or directory is just returning an error that it doesn't know this file, or neither is it the directory, and it doesn't exist in this particular folder. And so now the most famous instruction in Python is the print function if you want to print out something. And unfortunately, it is not visually appealing per se. So you actually need to give it instruction to do certain things. So for instance, I want to display hello everyone, for instance. Welcome to introduction to Python programming, something like this. And hosted by our abled, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the, yeah. So if I want to print something like this, for instance, right? If I go to my Python and say intro.py, it's definitely going to return an error. And it's telling me that invalid syntax. It doesn't understand this instruction that I've given it. What do I mean? So let's say I want to actually display this. What I'm going to use is a function called the print function. So it works like this. Again, I'll cut this out. I'll say print, and I'm going to open a bracket, open bracket, close. And because I want to do a print of a text, Python has different data types. Part of it is the text data type, or what they call string. And anytime you want to represent a string, you represent it with either single quotation or double quotation. So I can either use single quotation and say, then I'll paste what I want to print inside that quotation. I'll just say Control V, and I'm going to save it, Control S. Always save. Then if I want to come and run my file, my Python file in my command prompt, I'll just say Python. You can either say Py or Python, especially if you are using Windows. So you say Python intro.py. And by the time I run the program by clicking enter, you can see it has told me, hello everyone. I forgot to put welcome to. So welcome, introduction to Python programming, hosted by able. I was supposed to say able, and if I want to correct it, I'll just say D, and I'll say 2. And I'm going to always save your file. Then you run your py intro.py, and you can see it has printed it. You might be wondering, how would I from here get to where I'm going to be importing files and using it for, like, why this thing it doesn't look interesting really. And well, I would say that with time, by the time you are able to import files, you are able to manipulate instructions, you will get there eventually. So basically, this is what we use to print out certain instructions somewhere, specifically maybe to our command prompt or to somewhere if you want to. And so if I want to comment now, I will just say, if you want to write comments, comments are things, I don't know, you guys are used to SQL, right? If you want to write comments in SQL, you write your dash. Mr. Ebenezer, please confirm that you write your dash, then you write a comment. What comment does in programming languages, whether HTML, whether JavaScript or Python programming, what it does is it's like you involving something without. It's like you writing something without it running. You don't want it to run. You just write that particular thing, and maybe you are using it for as an indication that you did something somewhere. So, for instance, I want to say this print function is used to output something. So I'll make a comment there. And how do I make a comment? I'll put a hash and I'll say this is print function. And we use it to output a result, something like that. Please just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Then I'm going to save. Please, 1 minute. Sorry everyone, I just needed to do it pretty quick. So basically, if you want to actually make a comment and you don't want this to affect the output of your instruction, you just put a hash and make a comment. And so with this comment, we usually use it to tell anybody that is reviewing our instructions or code that we wrote that, oh, this thing is meant to do something. For instance, I'm already saying that whatever this comment is meant for this particular instruction. So this is a print function. I use it to output a result. And then by the time I run it, python.intro, what I'm just going to see is just the instruction that I give Python, not the comment. So comment doesn't affect your code, basically. So say, for instance, I want to do an addition. I want to do some addition with something. Part of what Python can do is I can say print, let's say 10 plus 30, something like that. And if I run it, I can see my first instruction and the second instruction. I say she just print this and it's giving me 150. If I want, I can declare what they call a variable. Or a variable is anything you can actually use to represent something. So for instance, I can type my name, Chico, for instance. I'll say is equal to 120. Then I can then say Chico plus 30. Now remember, I've represented, sorry, please hold. So sorry about that. I can actually declare something, and this is called a variable. I'll say, let it represent, this is what they call an assignment operator. What it does is it's assigning 120 to this particular name that they call a variable. And I can then, I don't need to call 120 again. I'll just call that variable and I'll just use it to do something. And by the time I print this, you can see it's still going to show me 150. So a variable is something that can represent something else. For instance, I can say my print here is welcome to. I can make a variable called A, and you can use anything to make your variable. Although it has its rules. For instance, you cannot use a number to write your variable. You can use alphabet. You can combine it with a number if you want. You can decide to say you can use underscore and an alphabet and a number, and I think and even an at if you want. No, I don't think an at. So, but then you can say A. You can say B. You can use any of the alphabets or any of the 26 alphabet as a variable. You can use your name as a variable. If I want, I would say Chico underscore or Chico1, Chico2, like that, if I so want. So let's say, for instance, I actually want to do this printout again, and I can then say a variable called welcome, and I'll say equal. I'll assign it to a string called hello everyone, welcome to this. And like I said, if you want to make a string, you put either a single quotation or a double quotation. Maybe this time around I'll put a double quotation. Now, if I want to print this particular text, I'll just say print, and I'll say print welcome. I don't need to type everything again. I'll just say print welcome, and I'll run my my command python intro.py. I'm going to see the first print, the second print, which is an addition, and the third print, which I, instead of me putting the text inside the print, I just assign it to a variable. Now, this then brings me to the different data types we actually have in Python. As we know in SQL, and even in Power Query, we have, I think in SQL, we have text, we have the variable character, we have integer, we have decimal or float, we have dates, and so on. In Excel Power Query, I think we have number, decimal, date, text. What else again? I can't remember. So also in Python, we have data types called integer. We have float. I think we also have decimal. I don't know if we have decimal, but I know we have float. We have string, which is text. Basically, if you see string, it's just text. And we have what they call a boolean. A boolean is basically true or false. True or false. That's what a boolean is. I think these are the most famous data types. So for instance, our string is something like this. Hello everyone, welcome. In fact, you can do another example of a string and you put your single quotation or double quotation and you say 5. So ordinarily 5 is a number, but once you put it inside that quotation, it is a string. Our float is basically decimal. So if you say 5.0, in Python programming, it's not the same thing. Even in SQL, if you say 5.0 and you say it is a float, it's not the same thing as 5. It is the same thing, but technically it is not. So if I say 5, it is different from 5.0. Because if I want to check the type of this my 5, I can say print, and I'll say print type 5. What data type is this my 5? And I can say print type, and I'll say 5.0. I need to tell me my data type. In fact, let me do the same thing for 5 here. I'll say print, I would say type, and I would say 5, and I'm going to save it. Now, watch what is going to happen here. So you can see in my command prompt, it's telling me the first. Again, I can actually give an instruction to say, I would say print integer type, print, I'll say integer type, something like that, integer. And I'm going to, I'll say print float type. The next one, I'm going to say, this is a string type, just so we can have. Now you can see my integer type, you can see it said class int. The float type, which is what I printed, is a class float, which is our 5.0. And our string, which is 5 in a quotation mark, a single quotation mark, you can see it's telling us a string. Now, if I say print type and I say true, it's going to tell me boolean. That is B-double-O-L. If I say print type and I say false, sorry. Now you can't write your true and false. It has to be a proper true or a proper false. You cannot write it in small letter, unfortunately. So you can see it's telling me class boolean. So it's telling me that the data type of this particular values are actually put here are what? The integer type, float, string, as well as boolean. If I say false and I now put false in quotation mark, what do you think it's going to? Who can tell me what it's going to print? The data type.
It is going to print an integer.
If I put false in quotation mark,
is a string.
So it's going to print a string. So you can see it is telling me string. So it's very, very important. Your data type in Python is extremely important, extremely. That you you actually need to know the kind of data type you're actually using to do whatever it is you want to do. So say for instance, I'm going to print, I want to do division, and I want to do division with integers. So I'll say print, I'll say 10 divided by 2. Who can tell me the output of the data type is going to give me? Any guess? Who wants to guess the output? The answer is 5, right? But
which is in.
Sorry, somebody's saying something.
Integer. Yeah, sir.
Yes.
Which is.
Sorry, is anybody saying anything?
Yes, if the answer is 5.
The data type is going to.
Okay. The data type is going to be what? The answer is 5, quite all right. But what data type? This is an integer. I'm dividing it against another integer. What is it going to give me?
Integer.
It's going to give me an integer, right? Okay, so what if I say 9 divided by 2? What is it going to give me?
Float.
Okay, so this is something you should know
with
Python.
Float.
Okay, this is something you should know with Python. Because if you divide an odd number by another odd or even number, for instance, if it's going to give you a float, it's the same thing that happens if you use an integer against an integer, because basically this is an integer against an integer. So do you understand? It's the same thing if I say 10. You understand? So Python doesn't know that, unfortunately. So if I say, what is the type of this output? And I'm going to put the output, again, it's going to print the output for me. It's going to tell me that the type is actually a float, and that's because if you are dividing an integer by another integer, it gives you a float. If you divide a float by an integer, it still gives you a float. If you divide a float by a float, it gives you a float. So you can see it's telling me that the class is float, and it's always like that. So it's the same thing if I say 10.0, I'll do 10.0, 10.2, and which one should I do? Yeah,
9 by
I can
2.
say, I have, let's say 9 by 2.0. It's still going to give me float every time. Or let's do the 9 by 2. Integer is all this response. Okay, let me do a print. I would say division, result of division data type, something like that. And I'm going to save it, Control S, and I'll run the program. And you can see our result of division data type is float, 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 float. So it's always going to give you a float. Now you cannot do any operation, subtraction, addition, division, multiplication with a string. You cannot, it's not going to work. So for instance, if I say, oh, sorry. Okay, so if I say welcome divide by 2, it's going to return an error. So you can see it's going to return an error. What is the error? It said unsupported operand types, string and integer. So you cannot use a string and an integer. So neither can you use a string to divide a string. Is not going to work. So if I say, for instance, a string 5 divided by a string 2, it's not going to work. It's always going to return an error. And that's because mathematically it's not acceptable. So it will tell me string and string, it's not going to work. So any kind of mathematical operations you are doing, it has to be a float or a string. I don't know if a boolean works. Let me see. I don't think a boolean works so as well, because there are two different data types. Again, I'm curious. 5 divided by 2. Oh, it gave me 5. Oh, and that's because, oh, I think I know the reason why it worked. That in mathematically, true and false in Python is 1 and 0. True is 1, false is 0. If I say false, let's see what it's going to get. Anything divided by 0 is what? I think it's infinity, yeah. So look at what it's saying. I put false, and it's saying that the 0 division error, division by 0. So in reality, true and false is actually 1 and 0. So that's a very interesting. I never really tried this before. Anyways, now the next thing we're actually going to move to is what they call data structure. What they mean by data structure is how you store data. Now, for instance, I have like a bunch of data I actually want to store. Python have about 3 or 4 different types of storing data. They call it data structure. I think some people call it data structure. I think some call it data types. Again, I prefer to actually call it data structure. We have about 4. We have a list. We have a tuple. we have a set, and the last one is dictionary. Now, the most notorious amongst these four are dictionaries and lists. And so if you want to declare a list, you put a square bracket and you now put different items in that list. So for instance, if I want to declare a list, I'll say square bracket, I'll say, now each item you put inside that particular list, if you want to put the next item, you demarcate it with a comma. So I'll say 3, 2, 4, 5, maybe I'll say hi. And it doesn't really matter the type of data type you put inside. You can mix all the data type. I can say false, I can say 5.6. I can include all the data types inside. And once I want to print my type, I'll say print. Again, I can also use an assignment operator to represent this my list. So I can say list 1. Now, you cannot use things like list as your variable, and that's because list is part of the instruction inside Python programming. So it's always going to return an error. So anything that is inside part of the instruction of Python programming, you can't use it for anything other than what it's meant to be used for. So I can say list 1, and I'll say equal to, and I'll paste it. And then if I say print type, and I'll say list 1, what I'm going to get is the class list. So, okay, so I'm going to put this because this is going to give me an error. Now, the one thing with Python programming, it's picking all of these instructions one at a time. The first instruction is print, the second print, print. Now, once it gets to this place where it showed me error, the program is going to stop. The reason is because it's returning an error. It doesn't know where to go from here. So it's going to stop, which is what it gave me there. And I now decided to comment it so that it doesn't affect my instructions. And yep. So you can see the last one is a class list. So anytime you put anything, even if it's a single, number. So for instance, if I say A, for instance, and I said one, if I want to print my type A, it's still going to show me list, even if it's a single item inside. And that's because I have indicated the square bracket. In fact, even if I do not put anything inside, it's still going to show me that it's a class type list. Mr. Mohammed El Amin, you seem to be the only one asking questions. Ask your questions. Your hands is raised. Hey.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
My question now is in dictionary, you know that we have these brackets that we use for each data structures.
Mm-hmm.
So which brackets are we going to use for the dictionary?
So the dictionary is the same thing as set. You use a curly braces.
Okay, curly braces.
Yeah, so you use a curly braces. But the difference between a dictionary and a set, I would explain very soon. So our list, you use your square bracket. Our tuple, you use your normal bracket. Which is this bracket. But in this particular case, if I say D, for instance, is equal to this, and I now say 1, 2, 1, 1, for instance, and I now come and do my print, what is going to show me that this is a set. The reason is because it is actually a set. So you can see it's showing me that is a set. The difference between our set and our dictionary is that for dictionaries, you have your curly braces, but you have what they call a key value pair. For instance, I would say first name. Let me say first name, and I will now say hyphen. Is it hyphen? What is this called? Colon, or is it semicolon? My first name is equal to
this column.
Column, yeah. So my first name is this. I can say my age is 20, for instance. And if I come and say print the type of my variable C, which is a dictionary, as I just said, if I run it, if I run my instructions, you can see it's telling me that this is a dictionary, which is different from a set, because a set is just items inside it. The same thing, you have items inside a list. The same thing, you also have items inside a tuple. So a tuple is, so a list, tuple, and set, all of them have items. But for a dictionary, it has what they call a key value pair. So a dictionary will have a key, then a value. Does that make sense? Yeah. So usually a dictionary has a key and a value. And the key can be text and it can be number. By the time we come to applying our Python to data analytics, you understand what that is. So it can be a text or a number. Either one can be that. And so, okay, sorry, this is, let me use D, for instance, and let me print D. Type D, and you see that this is a tuple. Now, each of them have their different characteristics, which I would advise you guys to go and read what their characteristics is. So you can see we have our tuple down here, which is our D. Now, I want to say something. If, for instance, I said I declared a variable called B, right? Just before I am done with the, before I start giving instructions, I now said B here is equal to 2. If I want to print this data type, what do you think is going to show me? The data type here, is it going to show me that is a set, or is going to show me that is an integer? Who can guess what anybody thinks is going to show?
It is a set.
It will show is a set. That's interesting. Okay, let's test it and see. Remember, B is the third to the last. So you can see my B is showing me that is an integer. Why? Anytime you declare a variable, you now declare another variable, the same variable after it to be something else. If you are giving it an instruction that do something, it's going to use the last declaration and implement the last instruction. Please, you should know that. So if I say my A is 2.1, for instance, if I want to print my data type, it's going to print float. Why? Because the last instruction I gave it, I say let A be a float called 2.1, and you can see my list is list then float, which is A here. You understand? So this is just to let you know that anytime you are doing some kind of declaration, always be mindful of how you do your declaration. If you want to do different declaration of different variables or different representation of something, use different variables for it. Don't use the same thing. Otherwise, one is going to counter the other. I don't know if that makes sense. Hello, does that make sense?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
And so I actually needed to mention that. Now you should also be careful of. Now, if you notice that everything that I'm writing here, they are on the same line. Anybody notice that?
Yes.
Watch what happens if I decide to mistakenly, I want to do my print and I'll put an indentation by giving a space, maybe one space bar, for instance, and I save it. It's going to return, already is my Visual Studio Code is already showing me that there's an error, if you guys notice. But again, I'm going to run it for running sake. It's already showing me that, but I'll run it just for running sake. So you can see that it is telling me that in line 51, which is here, which is this line, print type D, which is this print type D, indentation error, unexpected indent. So you need to be very, very careful of this indentation. What this means ordinarily in Python, that this print here is child of this print here. But unfortunately, the print function doesn't take children. I don't know if you understand. The print function is not part of those syntax in Python that take children. But I'm telling you that this print in line 51 is a child of the print in line 50. But the reason why it is returning an error is because the print doesn't take children ordinarily, but that is what it means. So you have to be very, very careful with indentation. Use indentation anytime you want to make something a child of another thing. For instance, if I want to do write if statement and I want to test an if statement, for instance, I would say if A, which is our A is 2.0, 2.1, is greater than, let's say it's greater than 3, I will now put my colon, and whatever it is I want to do after my colon would be indented. So you can see when I just click enter, I just press my enter key, it already indented it for me. Why? The if statement is part of those instructions in Python that takes children, which is indentation. I will say print, I'm giving it an instruction. So print I'll explain what this is. A is greater than 3. But this is going to return something else. I think it's going to return a different kind of I think it might return an error, I'm not sure. Okay, so it did not implement the last one. The reason is because in reality, A, which is 2.0, is not greater than 3. So I'm supposed to give it another condition. Remember, in Excel, the if statement, it will take logical test. It will take value if true. Anybody remember that? Hello, does anybody remember that? Hello?
Hello, can hear you.
I hear you.
Hello, sir.
I said, does anybody...
Can you come again with the question?
Who remembers in Excel value through if statement in Excel?
Yes. It as a logical logical statement. That is, if the. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Yes. So the if statement, particularly, as you try to give it for it to tell you if something is true. But if that thing is not true, it give me false. But if it is true, give me true. That's what the if function particularly goes.
So in Excel, so it works the same thing in um, uh, it works the same in Python. So if you make an if statement and you are printing a value, so this if statement, whatever comes before after it is value if true. Now, if the value is not true, you are supposed to return a value if false. So in other words, in my if statement, I'm going to complete it with else. If a is not greater than 3, then print a is less than 3. And I'm just going to comment on this. What is in my tab? Oh. And let's see what is going to happen. I have a lot of things that is making my PC extremely slow. No, I think I forgot to save. Sorry, Control S. Yeah, so I'm going to run it again. It is going to take some time. For some weird reason, my PC is slow, and I don't know why. So you can see it is returning that the last this thing it is returning is printing the last one, which is 2.0 is less than 3. 2.1 is less than 3. Basically, that is what it's telling me. So what I was just trying to use is the indentation there. Don't worry about the if statement. So basically, anytime you do indentation, you are telling it that whatever you are indenting is a child of whatever this is. And so be careful with indentation. Make sure sometimes you might not notice you have some space here and it will be returning an error. You don't exactly know why this thing is returning an error. You keep wondering like why is this thing returning an error? So you have to be very, very careful with that. Also, if you're actually displaying anything in your Visual Studio Code, anything you put here, if you notice that from here, you can see that my cancel button is now white. It means that I have done something, I've made a change to my code that I have not saved. So it's very, very important. You see this white dot? Can anybody see the white dot there?
Yeah, I
Yes,
can see it from
we
here.
can see it.
It's always important that you should save your file. It's always important. And this is one of the reasons why Anaconda makes more sense than Visual Studio Code at times, because Anaconda you don't need to save, you just run everything you want to run. It's a little bit different from this. Let me show you what it looks like. Let me see. I think my PC is very slow today. I don't know why. Sorry, hold on. I think Anaconda. Let me launch my Anaconda and see. So Anaconda works differently, and which is why, like I said, it is mostly used in data analysis, frankly, because it doesn't follow all of this hassle of trying to write an instruction, then you now try to use command prompt to run your code and all of those things. Anaconda would run it one time for you. But I actually use the two independently. So if I want to do data analysis or data science or some form of analysis that I want real-time value, I'm actually going to use Anaconda. But if I'm actually going to build a program, for instance, that would do something for me, maybe I need to build a script that will do some automation process for me. I will actually use my Visual Studio Code, or I'll use a code editor for it instead of Anaconda. The reason is because Anaconda is a package manager. It comes with its own packages. It's not suited for everything. So you have to know when one is suited for something or not. So I think in the next, after discussing the different data structure and data types, we can as well discuss how we actually access each individual line item in this different data structure. So for instance, I have a tuple. Sorry, hold on. Okay, so I have a list. I have a set, I have a tuple, I have a dictionary. Sorry, please. So let me print out what these things are. So I'm going to print them out by, I think I should just take them elsewhere. I'm going to create another file, a Python file for this, and all I just need to do is to say, let me see. Don't mind that is a command prompt command. Don't mind that. Aha. So I am going to print out what these things are, the items inside this particular declaration that I've done. I'm not going to worry about, I'm going to comment this. I would say printing the types now, because again we already know what type does. It will print the kind of thing that particular type is. And so what I can then do is to say Python. I'll now say data structure. So you can see the list, the type for list is list, and you can see it has printed my list. My the next one is B, which is my tuple, my set, which is what this is. The next one is my C, which I say you should print C, which is my dictionary. And the last one is my my tuple. Now, anybody notice that my tuple, my set, sorry, the set that I typed, did anybody notice that something is missing in when I printed it? So this is my set 1 2 3, but this is my set here 2 3 1 1. Anybody notice any difference? Hello? Hello, can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Do you notice any difference when I printed it?
Yes, you notice there's no one.
There's
One
no
appears.
one of the ones is missing.
One is missing, yes.
The other thing, what is the other thing you notice? It now arranged it for me in ascending order. Did you notice that? It arranged it for me in ascending order.
Yes.
Good. So that is one of the properties of a set. A set doesn't take duplicate. So anytime you want to remove duplicate from a list of something, always use always use set to remove duplicate. Do you understand? So for instance, I have another list called E. I have a list of 1, 2, 3. Now say 1, 1, 5, 4, 7. Oh, I said it's 7, then 9, then 11. Then let's say I have 10 here. Right. Now, in order for me to remove duplicates, I can just convert this into a set. How do I do that? I'll just say I can do it of two ways. I can either declare a variable to do it, or I can do it in my print. I'll just say print. I'll now write set, and I'll now inside the set, which is a method, I'll just say E. Now remember, my E is a list, right? But when I put it like this and I print it out, watch what's going to happen. You can see, first of all, it has removed my. I have how many ones there? 1, 2, 3, right? It has removed those things. Then it has now automatically sorted my my list in ascending order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So anytime you actually want, you have like a list and you want to remove duplicate, you can convert it into a set. And you can also convert a set into a list or a tuple. So for instance, I can say this might be here, right? Remember, a tuple is the one that has curly braces with items. So I can say print, I would say tuple, and I will say what I want to convert, my B, which is a set. And by the time I do that, you can see it has converted it into a set for me. 1, 2, 3. And you can see, how do you know it's a set? How do you know it's a tuple? Is because of the normal bracket. Now, I also wanted to say one last thing before we leave. Let's say I want to call one of the line items in my data structure. I want to call one of the line items. Say for instance, I want to access false in my list. Now, in order for me to do that, each of these items has what they call a placeholder inside this list. So the first placeholder here is position here is considered to be 0. The second position is 1, third position is 2, fourth position is 3, like that, and so on and so forth. So if I want to access the line item false, what I'm then going to do is to say print my list 1, and I want to access false. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it means that it's in my position 5. And in order for me to access that position, I'll put a square bracket and I'll now put 5. I'll save it and I'm going to print. And you can see it has printed false. Let's say I want to print high, which is in position 4. I'm just going to put 4 there and I'll see high. See the same thing if I put 0. What am I going to see there? I'm going to see 3. So that's how you access your items in list. I think the same thing goes for tuple. I think the same thing goes for tuple. 0 will be 2 and so on and so forth. Yeah, so 0 is 2. 3 is the last item in this particular tuple, which is 1. And if I say -1 is also going to print 1. The reason is because anytime you are using negative to call an item, Negative, so it assumes that 0 will start from left, so 0, 1, 2, 3. Then if you are using negative, it's starting from right, so it will be -1, -2, -3, and -4. So for instance, if I say -4, I think if I say -4 here, is going to print 2. Then if I say is -4 equal to D0, it will tell me true. You can see it will tell me true because they are the same thing. If you also want to call, you cannot call any line item in set. Let me see, my set is B, right? If I say B and I put 0, I think it's going to return for me an error. It's going to return for me an error because part of the properties of a set is that you cannot call any line item inside it. They call it is not subscriptable. They have different characteristics of this particular data structure. I would advise you go and read it. I think I also provide you guys with a link to a particular website that really helped me a lot. So the same thing for a dictionary. If I want to call my values in my dictionary, remember that my values are this and this. These are my keys and these are my values. So if I want to call I want to bring out any of my values, I would call it by their key. So I will say C, and I will now put the square bracket, and I will say, if I want to get my first name, I'll just say first name. Oh, sorry, I need to put this because this is returning an error. So you can see it has returned Chico. If I want to add, I will say comma, I will say CH. You can see that say Chico 20, which is this. Let's assume I want to change my age to something else. I can then say CH is equal to 45, for instance. Now once I print if I print my dictionary, the age will change to 45. The same thing if I want to change maybe the first item in my list number, which is 3, or I want to change high, which is the 4th item in my list, or the 5th item in my list, which is the position 4. Now I can say my list 1 is no more high, is now 5, and I will come and print my list. Instead of it to show me high, is going to show me 5. And if I look for the type of because I can also check the type of my line item. If I look for the type of my line item, it's going to show me is what? Class int. The same thing with my dictionary. Let's say I want to check the type of the value of my key first name. So I will put a type, and first name is going to, what is going to return? It's going to return a string. So you can see it's a string. The same thing, if I want to get the type of my age, is going to return what? My age is going to return an integer, which is what we can see here. So you can actually change each line item. So say for instance, if I want my first name to be something else, I want my first name to be Abdullahi Balarabi, for instance. Sorry, I'm using your name. I now print you can see the name has changed to Abdullahi. If I want to add another thing inside my dictionary, I can say C last name. Meanwhile, it is not in my dictionary before, and I'll now say Balarabi. Sorry, Abdullahi Balarabi. I come
No
and
problem,
print,
sir.
if I come and print my C, which is what I can see here, I have first name Abdullahi, age this, and my last name as Balarabi. So the same thing if I want to I think this works for dictionary alone. If I want to add line any item to this, I can just say I can say list 1 equal to, I think, list 1, I can say plus hello. And if I print my list, which is my here, you know, before I can see all of this, there's no yep. Oh, did I? Oh yeah. So there's no hello there. Now if I come and print it again, I think I cannot use plus. I think I can say dot append. Append, and I will now say hello. And if I print it, I will then see, if I come to my list here, where is it? Sorry, please. Oh, it's saying 0 is not subscriptable. Well, that is fine. We can why is it showing me this now? Okay, so I don't know why it is not printing. Dot append. Is it dot append or I forgotten? Anyways, hopefully in the next session, if there will be, we're actually going to discuss how to do data manipulation using this particular data structure. And Python is a very it's a very, very vast programming language. It's simple but vast at the same time. I would recommend that you use this W3 school. It's a very, it really helped me a lot, frankly. I'll be sending the link to you guys now, so that you guys can actually use it for anybody who wants to really develop Python. Hopefully, if there'll be another session, we'll talk about data manipulation using the different data structures, and we'll talk about class functions. We'll talk about if statement. We'll also talk about for loops. We'll also talk about list comprehension and so on. You guys can go through this. It's really helpful. And yeah, any questions? Any questions before we leave?
So, when are we going to do another class?
It's not me you ask now. I don't know. It's the organization. Abdullah Balarabi is our president. You can ask him. He's going to respond to you.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
No problem. You are going to be notified when the next class is going to take place.
Mr. John, you want to ask a question? Ask John, yeah.
Yes. Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah. Thank you for the session once again. This one of the major challenge that we can even say from the beginning, or me particularly, I would say from the beginning, it has been a kind of the question I always ask myself, because programming language has not been an easy thing, even if people that always still, as in the sleeps on it every day, they will still tell you that is a daily activity. But my question particularly, I want to ask you regarding it, because you just provide the resources where we can leverage to use by, as in learning the Python particularly. So in terms of using it, the IDE, you just use a Visual Code, and you were mentioning
Visual
Anaconda,
Studio Code.
which yes,
Yeah.
Visual Studio Code. You were mentioning Anaconda. So which one? My question is, which one particularly is beginners friendly that we should make use of so that we can?
No, me, I would advise you to use everything. You should use Visual Studio Code before you use Anaconda. Frankly, for learning Python, this is what Anaconda looks like. Your Jupyter note in Anaconda. You can see these are all Python codes. These are very much Python codes. You understand? You can see this is a variable, this is an assignment operator, and this is whatever this is. But this is a Python code. Preferably, I'd advise you, if you want to learn Python programming, use Visual Studio Code, use your command prompt in your Visual Studio Code, learn how to program in Python before you start using Anaconda for data analytics, please. Okay. Does that make sense?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Very well.
Okay. Is that all?
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Samuel, you're welcome, sir. Mr. Samuel, your hands are up. Good morning. How are you?
Well done.
Thank you.
My question is, I'm finding it difficult to download this Python on my system. So,
how do you mean difficult? Explain what. How do you mean difficult? What do you...
But if I browse I don't know. If I browse about the Python, I don't know which one, because they have the one for programming and the one for data analysis.
Oh, okay. So I just said I would advise that you watch this video again.
Or is it possible that you send the record of the video?
Yes, we are going to share. We are going to share the records.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I will advise that then if you have any questions, I think I'm in one of the, I don't know which of the groups you are, but I'm in one of those groups. You can send a message to the program director, and he's going to, he can redirect you to me and so on and so forth if you're having any kind of problem. Any other questions? The question I would like to ask everybody is that, do you then have a minimal concept of Python programming? And I hope it has broken the barrier of that Python programming is difficult to learn. Who's going to respond to that?
Come again with your question, sir.
I said, I hope you have gotten the slightest concept of Python programming as a whole, and it has broken the barrier that it's not as difficult as you have a perception of it before.
I will permit me to attempt to it. I will say yes, but on the slighter note of it. Why? Because the resources you just provided will help a lot to guide from step by step to understanding the barriers that are also involved, I think.
So the one thing I will add is that please, you have to understand programming, Python programming, before you are able to. So it's more or less like you have to understand how to drive a car before you are able to maybe become a professional driver. So you have to learn the programming language, then you now have to learn the side where you have to apply it to data analytics. Mr. Abdullah Balari wants to say something.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for this very robust session. I will say that I have gained a lot out of the session, and at least, well, I have been trying this Python for research purposes. I have gained a lot of concepts out of this training, especially as it regards to the data structure. I actually, in the beginning, I do not have a full understanding of what those structure means. I now get a different understanding of the concept. I will say thank you very much for this wonderful effort. You have been very, very supportive in all the steps we have been taking right from the beginning. We thank you very much for this. Thank you.
Very much. I'm happy to help. Mr. John, we really need to go. Ask your question quickly so that we can go.
Okay, a very quick one, sir. Sorry, so the last time in a session where we interacted particularly, you made a video available regarding the guideline on how to go about the session. That is the project that we were already doing. Can you please, as well, apart from the resources you provide, help us with either videos, particularly regarding this, so that we can also navigate to it whenever it comes?
I have a YouTube
or a
video.
recommendation.
I have a YouTube channel that I can share with you guys. I'm going to share it through the project, the program director as well, so that I can share it with everybody. You can have access to it. In it, it's more an application of what we did. But I just finished conducting a 6-month internship for ourselves, and part of it was an introduction to Python programming itself. So I believe that is going to help and guide you very well. Again, Mr. Khan, which is our program director, will send it to everybody in each of the groups if that is fine.
Very well.
You can reach out to me via, I think I'll send my email, and via WhatsApp. Mr. Khan can provide that to you as well. Again, we hope that we will do another session maybe sooner, so that we can, maybe most likely by that time we'll have more questions to ask. Then I'll also be liaising with the program director to also include us in some communities that can actually benefit us in learning Python as well. Again, with the permission of the president. So I hope that will help.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, sir. So I think the closing remark then will be up to the next session. I don't know who is doing the closing remark.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Chico, for that enlightening and engaging lecture. So as we conclude today's first part of the training session, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to you, our facilitator, Mr. Chico, for sharing your expertise with us, and then to all the participants for your active engagement and enthusiasm. Your collective energy has made this session a success, and we are grateful for the time invested. So thank you once again, Mr. Chico. Surely we will definitely be inviting you from time to time to continue our learning service on Python. Thank you so much.
I'll be happy to come and
Thank
share
you. Thank you.
what knowledge I have. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you,
sir.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So now we will take a well-deserved break and recharge for our next session. We'll be diving into the world of SQL with our facilitator, Mr. Benshima Alfred, via Google Meet. The link has already been shared and disseminated to your respective groups. So from here on out, it's a good day. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'll be sharing links.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chico. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you very much.
Have a wonderful day.
Have a wonderful day, sir.
Very much,
we are very grateful.
Thank you.
Take care.